Conjuror Community Lunchtime AMA, a weekly chance to go a little deeper with some of your favorite CC artists. I'm Ethan Fisher, head of customer relations for Conjuror Community, brother of CC co-founder Aaron Fisher, and general magic adjacent layperson. Today as my guest, I have CC panelist, CC backbone, master magician, and my friend Alexander Slemmer. Yeah, man, I wrote all that out because that's how
It's a lot. That's good. That's good. It sounds very professional. I love it.
But before we get to Nathan, oh wait, I didn't.
Ooh, didn't change the name, Steve.
Yeah.
Not so professional.
Right. Not so, don't get it twisted. We had all sorts of problems at the beginning, obviously.
Yeah.
But before we get to
our problems.
But before we get to Alex, I want to let everyone know who is joining us live. Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. I want you to know that we're going to have another trivia contest giveaway. I know you guys are digging those. Everybody likes to get little treats from contests. So we're going to be doing that later if you're here. So cool.
Free stuff. Nice.
One thing I keep forgetting to stress, someone is sad. Someone put a sad face.
Don't be sad.
Lotus put a sad face, but I think Lotus put a sad face because he couldn't hear us. But now he can.
Oh, okay. I hope you can hear us, Lotus.
I hope you can hear. So you've been on here before and we've talked, but we're starting the new format, and so we're going to go back. We want to do a review for some members that are probably newer here. So I know the story. I'm sure Michael Sproul knows the story. We all know the story of Alex, but I need to know what I haven't figured out is.
Yeah.
What I know about, Steve's books, and I know all about Aaron and his first magic experiences. What's your first memory of seeing magic? Maybe
I have a very distinct memory of seeing magic the first time, and it fooled me so bad, and it took me probably being in magic a few years before I really figured out what happened to me. And there was like a one that happened in person, and then there was like a TV experience. The first time it happened to me in person, it was a friend of my father's, and he had a giant bottle, and he put a bag over it. And the effect that I literally saw was that the bottle was under this bag a paper bag on the table, and his hand just came down flat and smashed this bag, and there was no bottle. It was gone. And I just had that pure moment of like the world just stopped. Like it really just stopped. And I just went, what is happening right now? How did something like that happen? And slowly, the world came back, and I was able to piece together it was just a magic trick, and but had no idea. And the guy tried to do a couple tricks after that, and none of his other tricks were any good. They didn't fool me at all, but that beer bottle thing, it got me bad. And it was one of the tricks I sort of sought out when I got into magic, because I had such a visceral memory of that experience of what it was like to have that. And I, it's like, well, if I'm going to start doing effects, I want that one, because I remember how I felt when I saw that thing, And then I remember seeing David Copperfield on television, but it was we did the Afternoon Astonishments the other day on Martin Lewis, and it was David Copperfield with a little red paper heart out of tissue paper, and he ripped this thing up into little pieces, and he balled it up, and then he blew on it, and this thing became a whole heart again, and he's surrounded by all these little kids. And I just saw that segment. Like, I went to my grandmother's house with my parents, and it was just on the TV in the background, and we were there to pick something up or something, right? And I just walked in, saw this segment on television, and then we had to leave again. But again, it was like what that bottle trick did to me. It was like so indelible. I'm like, whoa, how could something like that even be possible? And I think as a young person, it really opened my mind to the possibility of magic. That's for sure. And it wasn't time to learn magic or be into magic, but it was just definitely a time to like experience what pure astonishment was, without any labels, just to like experience and go, wow, that was magic. When I hear the word magic, it was that thing that just happened to me. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. And, I remember so much as a kid, before my brother got into magic, but just, every time that there was a big event on TV,
yeah,
it was something that we all gathered around and watched.
Great.
Yeah. And I remember, what was it? It was, the Statue of Liberty. It was always David Copperfield.
Sure. He was the big guy in America for sure. Yeah.
It was a plane disappearing.
Sure. That was a big one. Yeah, that was a big one.
Walking through the Great Wall of China.
Huge.
Trying to remember all of it. And I remember like the last one that I remember like watching as a kid was the flying one. That was like,
it's great, right?
Like the last thing.
Didn't you tell me once that you guys went and saw him live? And you got to see flying live too, right?
I think flying was live. See, here's the thing.
Great.
I get two things confused in my mind. It's David Copperfield or the Neil Diamond concert.
They're both pretty magical in their own way.
But I think for some reason there's I don't know what it was for the flying trick or something. There's a big long story about him his ancestors coming to America. And so it has,
Oh, right. So you're hearing the Neil Diamond song going while he's talking about, there's no snow.
Yeah. There's
at least the year there was no snow.
But Ellis Island, relatives,
Right.
And they kind of look the same.
Yeah. They have a similar look, no doubt.
The thing I remember about the live performance was the close-up sleight of hand.
Yeah, that was my favorite stuff.
And how good he was at that. Besides the other big set pieces, which are like him appearing on a motorcycle in the middle of the arena and stuff like that.
And what a smart plan that is, right? To do the smallest of small with a camera on you and the biggest of big, and it makes it seem like it's all pretty much the same thing. He's just a master of both. It's like a really great way to handle that big magic show, plot line, just the whole thing being able to fit together like that's really cool.
Yeah, because it was like a whole 20-minute story for the one effect. And I know the flying thing took a very... Adam Gray says, and Claudia Schiffer.
Yeah, well, if you have a supermodel, that definitely adds to the mystique of the whole thing, doesn't it?
I was always more blown away by Christy Brinkley with Billy Joel.
Yeah, that was an odd pairing.
Yeah,
there was that video that she was in with him, and she was so much taller than him, and I didn't know if it was the heels or she just was that much taller than him.
I think she was that much taller than him.
I think so too.
I believe what you're looking for is Uptown Girl. Anyway,
that's exactly right. It's Uptown Girl. That's right. That's so funny. MTV videos, man. What a great thing as a kid. I love it.
I recently watched. They did a 4K redo of Money for Nothing.
The Dire Straits video.
Yeah.
Like all the like glow animation on top of it. Yeah, like, right on.
They fooled us with the neon effects and headbands, but it's really just a middle-aged guy playing guitar. Just like everything else.
It really is just a middle-aged guy playing guitar. It always was the whole time. The king of swing.
Yeah, totally. So like I'm not going to go into the middle stuff of the music because we've done a whole section on that with you, and it's very interesting. And I suggest everyone go to the YouTube page if they want to check it out. But I have pulled some internet questions.
Okay.
Some kind of generic people questions from the internet.
Okay.
Like some very much layperson questions.
Sounds good.
And I want to encourage anyone in the chat now to ask questions if they want.
Ask away.
How do you become a certified magician? These are some ridiculous questions.
I remember as a kid wondering about that very thing. How do you become a certified magician? And I realized like that was just an absurd question. There isn't really such a thing. I think really you become a certified magician when you can like do an effect for people and you have people react and go, what? How? No way. And you have all those things that point to you just did a magical performance. I think that's as close as you get to a certification. And for me, I would say do it twice. If you can do it twice, if you can do a command performance, then you probably have it.
Have you ever had a belligerent person like chase you or get violently threatening with you if you won't tell them the secret?
Oh, sure. Plenty. Sure. That was actually in that other thing. That was how it started, right? That was the beginning. That was like when I knew the guys were threatening me and saying, if you don't tell us how you did that handkerchief trick, we're going to beat you up. I was like, I got him.
Oh, the guys in the band, right? The guys in the band.
Exactly,
right.
exactly.
Okay.
so sure. But I mean, you have, performing magic when you do public shows. When you do private shows, it's not so much of a big deal because generally if you're doing a private show, someone hired you to be there. It's a gathering of friends or a gathering of employees or associates or something like that. People are generally on their best behavior because they're doing business. They love this person, what have you. But when you're doing stuff at a casino or general public, all the rules are out the window, right? Anything happens and anything does happen. And I've had the strangest of things happen in those situations. I remember once doing a show where I was able to, I used to have this really sweet gig doing warm-up for a comedy show where basically for an hour and a half before the show started, people would come in and get their reserved seats and they'd get their beverages and their snacks before this comedy show would start. And it was a big room for comedy. It was like 400 people, 450 people, which for comedy is a lot of people. And I got to do close-up magic, just basically settling people into the room. And I remember just crazy things happening in this room. There was one time I brought guests up. I had friends come and stay with my lady and I, and it was a nice night out because they would pay for all of our expenses. They'd put us up. It was a whole great thing. But we had brought friends up, and sure enough, my friend's watching me, and he's sort of following me around the room just from a distance, watching me do what I do, just to go, wow, look at him do magic, and all these people are having fun, whatever, right? This lady comes in from the casino, and I'm at a table. It's like a 10 top, and there's all these people loving magic, and this lady comes in that's belligerent drunk. This is her table. This is all of her friends, and I think I might even be sitting in her seat. And this girl comes up behind me, and she puts her arms around me and starts hugging and rubbing on me like I'm someone important to her. And I'm like, whoa. She's like, you're fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, oh, and she was an attractive lady, and she was a younger lady, and it was just very strange because I knew my friends are watching me. I know that I'm on the spot. I know this whole thing is happening. I'm doing my best to just stay professional. I have to sort of like shrug this lady off and push her to the side so I can finish doing the magic and hope that the magic is still as important as it was and that now this lady isn't like stealing the spotlight. And it was a whole scene. So, when you're doing stuff for the public, weird things do happen and you just have to be ready and stay professional, stay on your game so that, the folks that hire you, they see you and they know, hey, this guy can make it through anything, and that's how you get called back and they remember you,
So let me start over isn't a thing you are allowed to use?
Say that one more time.
Let me start over is not a phrase you're allowed to use. Come on, let me start over.
Come on, let me start over. No. I've seen people do that in magic before, and you feel so bad when people say, oh, let me start over. Because, no, you only have like those 30 seconds. And if in those 30 seconds you don't have their attention and they're not with you, you probably should think about doing something else or go work on that magic stuff. You need to get them in the beginning. You need to just grab their attention and have them with you. Otherwise, I think that it just falls apart and you're just a guy that's at the party that's just background noise and they just take you for granted, And I don't know, that's not generally the best circumstance to perform magic in my experience.
I'm sure. It's so much like comedy. Like you want someone to pay to see specifically what you're trying to do.
Right.
You don't want to be in a place where you're an added, added and not appreciated. And
yeah,
in the background.
Well, it's true. I mean, you think about the reality of, we just in the club here, how much time we spend thinking about things, analyzing ideas, putting ideas into practice, trying different ideas, finally getting a routine up on its feet. That's a lot of time. There's a lot of things, a lot of steps that go into making these things happen. And it's like you said, you want to get that thing up and have it be the best that it can be, the best representation of the idea that you're trying to put out there for people so that you can connect with people with, at the end of the day, something that looks a lot like art, and I think it's tough when you have a bad night because you're working so hard to try to make this thing be this beautiful, this beautiful, elusive thing so that people can appreciate the work and really experience the magic. And when it doesn't happen, it's really sad and it bums you out and it makes you work harder. But it's what it takes, right? Magic is one of the hardest things ever, I think. And it takes that kind of care and consideration to make these things become what they eventually become. But once they do it, and once you've gotten that to a place when it is that, when it's real magic, you have something that no one can ever take away from you. You've earned that because you've brought this thing into the world. You manifest this thing in the world by, all these ideas coming together, all the sleights, all the blocking, all the words that you're saying, the way you hold things, all those things come together and bring this beautiful thing that it's unlike anything else. I mean, that's why magic is in its best form, just a rarefied experience. It's, just touches that place and opens up people in a way that nothing else does. And that's the reason why, because it's like a unicorn. It's so rare, if not impossible, to find the genuine article, We
have a question from Lotus that ties into the genuine article thing you just said.
Yeah.
Did you ever perform and they responded not with awe, but with fear because you have convinced them that magic is real?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I remember in the beginning of me learning magic, before I had real magic jobs, I remember just learning sleight of hand, like spending a lot of time on sleight of hand. Specifically, we've talked about this a lot in CC, when I made the leap to dollar-sized coins, right? Because before I used half-dollar-sized coins, but then when I started using dollar-sized coins, which lent to the idea of being able to do magic for larger groups of people because those coins are just more visible, which gave me more confidence to walk around like magic, because I wasn't really doing a lot of those things, with at least not with coins. I had some card things that I was doing at that point, but with the coins, when I was making this leap, I had to learn how to do all these palms, all these moves. And I had a job where I worked for this company that did file storage, right? Before the world went paperless. Right. They had files with, like in the doctor's office, they'd have like all of your records. And if you didn't come into the doctor's office for 6 months or to a year, they would put your file in storage, right? Or what have you. Law firms, same thing, right? When they were all paper files, you would need those paper files, but only when you needed them. And this company would store them, and I would a driver, right? I basically would go and pick up files, deliver files for all these different firms and whatever. But this was an opportunity for me because I would see, in the course of a day, I would see like, 50 to 100 different people. And of those situations, there might be like 10 to 20 situations where I could go, hey, you have a minute? Mind if I show you a magic trick? Or they would go, hey, you were here last time and you did that magic thing. Can you show us another one? Yeah, I can. I was ready. I was armed. You know what I mean? But during that time, I was spending a lot of time practicing, learning all these palms and, learning how to like steer a big van while holding coins in palm positions, all the stuff you would do to learn to do all this really hardcore coin magic. And I remember the first time what you're talking about happened to me. I went into this law firm and I was doing magic for all these people, and they're all having a great time and giggling, and I'm like, this is working. This is exactly what I've been practicing for, it was all like doing what it's supposed to do. Then one of the main partners of this firm, she came out. It was a lady that came out, and she freaked out, and she just said, I don't know what you're doing. This voodoo stuff has to stop. You need to get out of here now. And she literally like flipped out on me, and like all these people, I watched them all like sort of go, oh, like a balloon just burst in their presence. They're all having a great time. And like, it's like, whoa. And for me, at first I took it a little offense to it, but the reality is I walked out of there going, whoa, my magic is getting pretty good. If I could get someone to respond like that, like they think this sleight of hand stuff that I'm doing is real enough that they needed me to get away because they equated it to voodoo or whatever these bad experiences this lady might have had as a kid with magic or whatever that blanket term might mean. She saw what I was doing as something that was otherworldly. And that to me was, in a weird, twisted way, was sort of a win. But yes, those things do happen, and it does happen. But the reality is the older I get, the more I can be like playful with it because I've experienced it enough that I don't have that reaction of like, ooh, someone's upset and I'm doing magic, now I can roll with it and go, oh, right. They're having a tough time with this. They think it's real, so I can go, oh, it's okay. And I can give them a pat on the shoulder, or, I can give them a wink, or I can give them a smile, or, do something so they know, hey, it's a show. It's all okay. You know what I mean? But sometimes, I've had a moment in a country club where a woman came up to me and she literally pulled me aside and said, how old were you when you realized that you had these gifts? Like we had to have a real conversation about this stuff. And, these things happen. They just happen from time to time. And it's good to be prepared for it, but, you know, you have to moments, you know, and use your power wisely.
Yeah. What age were you when you realized you could shine?
Oh, well, when I first got into magic, I had moments, but I mean, it wasn't until I was doing shows. I mean, it really came out of doing, like, you know, corporate events, you know, when you can get repetition. That's really what made it sink in for me, because I had plenty of experiences that were like one-offs where I would do magic for folks and, you know, wow, I feel great, you know, but when you go do a show and you're there for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours and you're doing magic over and over again and hopping around, or you're doing a show for a bunch of people, you know, that's when you start to have those moments where you go, whoa, something different is happening here, because of the connection, the electricity in the room, the people, the connection with the people, all that stuff comes together and, you know, makes like the perfect storm. So you can have those moments where, you know, sometimes things happen that you can call them coincidences or whatever, but they look like real magic in the moment, you know? So, yeah, when I started doing pro shows, that's when I started to look like I was shining, if there was such a thing, right? I think I've lost you there.
Richie has a question.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Richie.
Do you have any pre-show rituals that get you pumped to build your confidence?
Yeah, really, it's it's almost like meditation. Really, it's just about breathing and being present, right? It's really about just recognizing that I'm getting to go do this thing. And the mind space that I try to get into that gets me the most peaceful about it is I try to remember, A, you practice a lot. You know, I've spent a lot of time working on this stuff. I really care. And I know at the end of the day, when I look at, you know, any anxiousness or weirdness that I might be experiencing before a performance, I know in my heart that the truth is I'm feeling that way because I care. I want it to be good. I want these people to have a good experience. And, you know, it's trepidation because I'm hoping that I'm good enough so that I can give them the most ideal magical experience that I can possibly give, right? So I recognize that first, that I know that that's what that energy is, that that's where that's coming from. But then the other thing I remember is that this is a gift, you know? It's a gift. It's a gift to be able to experience magic. And that really sets my mind at ease. I just try to be present with that idea that I'm going to just go in. It's a gift for me as much as it's a gift for them. The whole thing is just a gift. And I just have that spirit of, it's like Christmas morning, or it's like a birthday dinner, and, you know, for like a family member, and we all just get to be together to celebrate. You know, that's sort of the energy that I have in my mind. And I try to just be present and sit with that so that when I go in, I'm jovial and I'm ready to connect, because it's a gift for me because I get to perform. I get to be what I love the most, you know, be this magical performer and hang out with the people. But I get the gift of their reactions. They get the gift of experiencing real magic and seeing mystery, and like, it's a win-win. And when you know that it's that, and you know you're going into that, it's like you can't help but have a good time with it, because I know that when it's over, I know that every single time I do a magic show, when it's over, I walk out of there feeling like I put down a big bag of bricks. I'm so relieved. I have no concerns. I don't want anything. I'm content. Life is like complete. You know, and I know that that's the end result of doing a magic show. So I just try to be the best me that I can be when I go into it, you know, so that I can just party. I just want to party with the people and hang out and have a good time, so that when we walk out of there, we just go, high five, man. You know what I mean?
Or you can just listen to Gonna Fly Now by Bill Conti and his orchestra from the Rocky movies. That's what
right. I didn't know that's what it was called. Okay. That's you know, that's probably not a bad ritual.
Before we take our quick intermission.
Yes.
On intermission. I ask this of everybody since I found it, because it's the greatest question that I found on the internet for a magician.
Okay.
Can you use hypnosis to commit murder?
Can you use hypnosis to commit murder? I would imagine you probably could. It would at least make the murder a little easier. I don't know if I'm thinking about it right, but I don't know. It seems like you could.
It's amazing how many different answers I'm getting to that question.
What are some of the other answers? I'm interested now. give me a good juicy one.
No.
Okay, good enough.
I think that was Nathan Kranz's answer. He was like, no.
No.
No, you can't.
You'd have to have them really trust you. You'd have to have a clinical setting and have like a devious mind and be able to hide that malice. I think you could probably get away with it though.
And I think premeditation would definitely enter in there. And there'd be
yeah, without a doubt,
Lotus had another question for you. Okay. Do you use practice coins or the same ones you perform with?
Same ones I perform with. I must admit I am a fan of those new coins that we've been talking about in CC that Nathan brought into us. I've been playing with those a lot, but before all this stuff happened, no, I use silver dollars, real silver dollars. You know, I have patinaed and shiny ones, but they're real coins, and I use real coins for practice. And I remember early on in Magic, I was sort of infatuated with the idea of doing contact juggling, where you have like one of those crystal balls, and it looks like the ball is like sort of gliding over your hand, and it's this real beautiful, elegant little dance with the ball. And I remember someone suggesting that you should have a practice ball and have one of those nice crystal balls when you perform. And I did that. And the balls that I had were 2 different weights. And when it came time to like do stuff for people, when I wanted to use the good ball, I wasn't as good because I couldn't handle the weight of that ball because it was a little bit heavier than the other one. Then when I talked to guys that really did this stuff for real and made their living doing it, they said, no, man, same ball for everything. If anything, you have a shiny set that you use when you do shows, but they're going to get scuffed anyways. But the point is, use the weight of the coin, use the coin that you're going to use when you really do the thing, when you practice, so that when you do a show, there's no surprises, right? It's got to be just consistency. And another thing that I mentioned to a lot of folks is get yourself at least one silver coin that you don't mind dropping on the concrete. You don't mind getting gashes in, so that you can practice a lot of these moves anywhere, right? Whether you're standing on a sidewalk, whether you're standing on a tile floor, whether you're standing, you know, in a field, you don't worry about dropping the thing because it's already got dents in it. The point is practicing without fear, right? So yes, practice with the coins you're going to perform with, and get yourself one that you don't mind gashing up a little bit so that you can practice all those moves everywhere, so that you get confidence to be able to use your good silver coins everywhere. That's sort of the way I think about it.
Okay. Lotus says we pause. I just want to give us a second. Has our latency caught up? Are we good to go? There's not much I can do about it. So
sorry about that. I hate when the voice is off from the video. That bums me out.
I always sit there for a minute too, like depending on how small it is, like, can I deal with this? Like the movie one, can I?
Maybe I pause it and it'll catch up, or
right. Like, no, I'm shutting down the whole thing and restarting. This is terrible.
Yep. Sorry about that.
What's a simple, impressive magic trick that anyone could learn, perhaps just to entertain at parties or something?
Well, there's definitely a lot of simple card tricks, but I, for a long time, would just do a very simple coin vanish. And it was a way to just do an effect that, you know, was a borrowed object, you know, and just do the thing and get away, be done with it. A borrowed coin vanished completely. Or the trick I mentioned at the beginning, that vanishing bottle, or a bottle through the table, or Paul Gertner's, Goshman, their handlings of it with the salt shaker, where you vanish the thing completely and it's just gone, and then have that thing show up in a weird place. Like Gertner's idea, this is just the idea, and you can expand upon this. You'll get the idea if you were at a party for friends, you could do something very similar. But Gertner's idea was he would be, for instance, at a trade show, right? Everybody's in from out of town. They're there to talk about whatever business they're in. Plus, Paul Gertner's there to be magic guy and do magic. He does some magic in the restaurant. He vanishes a salt shaker at someone's table. It's gone. He doesn't ever reproduce it. He says, sorry about that. It's gone. Things sometimes just disappear and they don't come back. And then he would pay off someone. He would pay off someone in the hotel to take this salt shaker and put it in the middle of their hotel floor. So when they go up to their hotel room, there's that salt shaker from dinner just sitting in the middle of their hotel or on their bed. So something like that is otherworldly, but you don't have to do much for it, right? It's just that simple vanish of a thing, but you leave them with this indelible effect.
It's not a trick to do at a funeral. I mean, I guess you're not doing tricks at a funeral, but
it's a big market that's opening up. You know, you can use that. You can use the closed casket as a performance table. You know,
Right.
put a close-up mat on there, and I don't know.
Yeah, but don't do the some things go away and never come back.
Yeah, don't do some things go away and never come back. Right? It's very topical, but it's definitely not going to get you. Well, I don't know. Are you trying to get rehired with funeral magic?
I think I could make any joke here, but that would take us down the wrong path.
Right. We've probably done enough.
Yes, more than we should have. Okay, so if you had to assign percentages, how much of being a successful magician is attributable to actual magic versus the magician's personality and showmanship?
Whoa. That's a tough one. I think both are very important. I mean, the reality is you need to be different, you know, and your personality is going to be the thing that differentiates you, not your magic, because magic is magic. There's only so many effects, you know. How you sequence effects, that might set you apart, but I think the personality is a pretty big deal, you know. So the reality is when you're performing and presenting magic, I think that personality that you're presenting, it's you, but the volume's turned up on it, you know. So I think that personality part, if you don't have that, you know, magic is a fine hobby. You just might not want to be a performer, you know, and that's okay too, you know, because I must admit that as a study and just as a hobby and thing to look into, I love studying magic. And, you know, there are times where I'm like, if I never perform again, I'm happy to just swim in all this information. And I love learning the secrets and practicing the moves. But for me, it is a means to an end, you know, so I do want to perform. But I think that for some folks, that's not even in the cards. You know, I've met plenty of people that are collectors and they're not going to ever go beyond that. Plenty of people that love to practice and they love to buy all the new stuff, but they're like, no, I get nervous when I'm in front of people and I don't want to perform, you know? So it just depends on what you're trying to get out of magic. You know, there's many different streets in the magic city, you know what I mean? And, but if you want to be a performer, then you definitely have to at least take into consideration personality and, you know, what that is to your audience. And, you know, you have to at least be honest enough with yourself and in touch with yourself enough that you know what that is. And generally what people see when they watch you perform, you know, you have to be in touch with that and be able to manipulate that and use that as much of a tool like sleight of hand or choice of effect. You know what I mean?
Right on. So David Leal from the chat group had a question. He said, should I perform tricks that I personally love doing or tricks that play big for an audience, or a combo of both?
Yeah, both. I think really the secret ingredient with a lot of this stuff is you have to love it, right? I think people can read it when you're not into something, you know what I mean? I think it's on your face. I think it's in your body language. So I think that at the very heart of the matter, I think you have to love it, you know, but you also need to do things that, if you're doing a stage show, you need to be aware of the fact that it's a big audience and that you need to be a big spectacle for this big room. And, you know, there are things you need to fall in love with that become like those other things that you already love, you know, and that just comes through putting together a show. You know, when you start to look at, you know, well, I've done close-up magic and now I'm going to do a big piece for people. You know, you figure out, well, if in the beginning you find something you love, do one big thing, right? And the way I did it was when I was first trying to do stage magic, I wasn't going to do a stage show because I didn't have time to do on stage, you know, like I had bits, you know, I could do like 5 minutes. I could do 10 minutes, you know, and the way I would do it in the beginning was I would do close-up magic. And then at the end, I would just get the whole group together, or I would go in the corner of a room and I would get whoever organized me being there to get everyone's attention and say, Alex was here, he did magic, everybody have fun with the magic, everyone applauds. Before Alex leaves, he wants to show you one more thing, so everybody just give it up one more time for Alex, here he is. And then I would do one thing for the room, but one big thing that played for the whole room and that wasn't a close-up thing, just something that read for the whole room that was essentially stage magic, right? So in doing that, I was able to sort of get flight time, right? I was able to just get my legs under me and understand how to do magic for big groups of people without being officially booked on a stage and officially the stage magic guy, you know. I was able to sort of get routines, you know. I could get 5-minute routines by doing close-up shows, doing enough close-up shows. I could get a couple of these 5-minute routines together to where then I could do a guest spot in someone else's show, where I could then get on that stage and get some flight time in front of a real audience where I'm on an elevated stage and so forth. But for me, I think the reality with it is baby steps, right? I want to be so secure in every step that I make as a magician that I can just look like I'm confident wherever I'm at, no matter what I'm doing. And I think that confidence only comes from true security in what you're doing. And I think that comes from just knowing that you can kill it in all the situations that you've been in so far, and you're slowly moving your way up. So find ways to just make sure that you're just doing material that you know you've given flight time to, so that you're not, going out there and trying new things out for the first time on stage. For me anyways, I know a lot of people that love the opposite point of view. They're happy to go on stage with a new idea that they just worked out that afternoon and try it out in front of a few hundred people. That I need a little bit more planning. I need a little bit more security than that. And, those are some of the tactics that I use to get there. But your mileage may vary, as they say.
I got two rapid fire ones from the crowd before we do the last segment.
Okay.
Newell wants to know what your large audience closer is. He wants to know if it's Bill and Lemon or something else.
For a long time it was. Recently, it's been the book test. I don't know. For some reason, that one, it's just, I think I've put a lot of time into it. I have a lot more presentationally in it that I've invested into it, and it's sort of rising to the top. So right now it's the book test that has been the closer recently, but for years it's been the Bill in some sort of piece of fruit.
Okay. And Lotus Gold wants to know, he wants to know what your favorite coin sleights are. Let's just go for one. What's your favorite coin sleight?
If I have to pick one?
Yes, you do have
probably Retention Vanish. The one that I do, I do the Roth Retention Vanish, and it's gotten me pretty far in Magic.
Right on. Okay, so I have a new segment here at the end.
Okay.
If anyone has ever watched Inside the Actor Studio, I basically rip off the last 10-part questionnaire of that show and put the word magic in every question. And I ask them to our guest. So let me affect my Will Ferrell really quick.
Okay.
Alex.
Yes.
I'm not going to do this. I want to so bad. What's your favorite magic word? I did it. I'm sorry, I did it.
Favorite magic word? Money. No, I don't know if I have a favorite magic word. I must admit I've sort of stayed away from the whole magic word thing. It always was like one of those things like the idea of the top hat and the tails and the bow tie. Like I sort of went the other direction. When I saw that stuff in Magic, I sort of just ran screaming the other direction, because it was the thing that, like, when you see it from the point of view of layman, like in sitcoms and that sort of thing, like that's the thing they always do first to make fun of Magic. Like abracadabra, it's like, I'm just going to stay away from the magic word thing. So I want to say I have no magic words.
All right, that's Wobble crying and walking away.
Wobble. That's a good one. That's a good magic word.
Hashtag Wobble.
Right.
What's your least favorite magic word? Since you don't like them all, what's the one you hate the most? Is it abracadabra?
It probably is abracadabra, because it's the one that could be most equated to like a joke that would point to magic as cheesy, right? And I think magic is so much more than that. But, I understand. I mean, if you're writing comedy for shows like that, magic is an easy joke to get. I get it. But for me, I hold it in higher esteem in my heart. So
Looney Tunes did it best. Abracapocus.
There we go. That's great. Abracapocus. Exactly. Bugs Bunny. If it's good enough for Bugs Bunny, it's good enough for me.
Now I want to sing it. What turns you on in a magical sense the most?
True mystery. Someone that when you see them perform, they truly push it to the point where you're watching them and you get to that weird moment in a show when they're really good and they're really doing what they do, where you're just like, I don't know if this is real or a trick, and I don't care. This is so strange and bizarre, and I love it. Those are the moments that turn me on the most. When someone's really that skilled at performing, when they can sort of hold open that sort of space, that to me is like that turns me on in the most in Magic. And that's the bar I'm shooting for. I'm trying to hit that spot, and I fail miserably most of the time, but every once in a while I get there.
I don't think the people here think that, but okay.
Fair enough. Thanks, guys.
Magically, what turns you off?
I think people just poking fun at magic like it's meaningless, and that bums me out. Because I've seen the most beautiful magic a lot of the most beautiful magic that there is, and in my opinion, I would want to show people that rather than make a joke about it and laugh about it. Instead of giving that little bit of bandwidth, that little bit of airtime to let's all laugh at magic, why not put a great magician up and let people realize that like there are real practitioners of this that elevate it to something that really looks a lot like art in my mind, and if I can be an ambassador of the world to sort of spread that idea, that I love that. I love that idea. I love elevating the stuff that's really beautiful so that people can just understand, because I've spent my life pursuing this sort of thing, and I know it's not for everybody, but if you can share some of these things, and that's, again, that's what I'm trying to do with my magic. I just want to share the best of the things that I've seen, the things that I think are the most mysterious, or the things that like really touch you in a place that elicit mystery and, magic and all the things that come along with that. If you can do that, I think you're probably doing all right.
Nice. These ones are weird to transfer from the show.
Yeah, I understand.
The magical sound or noise you love or hate.
I love a little pop, or and I've people have mentioned that I have a really loud snap from, and I think it's from making a card rise or making things vanish. I just have a nice loud, because I don't think it's this loud with this hand, so that's probably the sound, that snap. Or sometimes I'll make a little pop with my mouth or something. But anything, I don't think it has to be a sound, but anything to accent the moment when an effect happens, I think is important. You need to tell the people when the magic happens, whether it's a gesture, it's a shiver, or just a surprised look, or, or there we go, now it's done, whatever. I think there needs to be something to tell the people, hey, it's really happened now. Let's look and check, Did
Darcy Tanner, when he was doing that candle thing on Member Mastermind, that's right, I remember. Did he put his fingers out to put out the candle? Do you remember? Did he do that? I remember the smoke. Yeah.
I don't recall. I remember the candle, and I remember him pulling fire out of it and all the beautiful coin stuff. That's the fun thing. That's the fun thing about magic, right? It just all blurs into this like pseudo memory of what it was, right?
That sound, I like. Like your fingers.
Yeah, that's a good sound. Yeah, that's good.
Do you have a favorite magical? You don't have any magic words that you love, but do you have any magical curse words you love? Is there a magical curse word?
I don't know. I say the F word probably too much, but and at times it is magical.
Right. It can mean so many things.
It can mean so many things. It's like the word dude.
Right. Bro, dude.
How are you using it in a sentence? That's what it means.
Yeah. It's more about inflection, right?
Exactly.
If you weren't a magician, but you had a job that you could be whatever you wanted to be, what would you if you weren't a magician? You might have your dream job, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there a dream higher level job?
No, I must admit magic has always been sort of the dream job. I remember as a kid bumping into the idea of magic, and that seemed to me like the folks that I saw that were successful at it as a young person, they seemed like folks that were pretty content with life because they sort of got to make their own rules. And one of the big influences on me with that was Paul Harris. He's like the ultimate in terms of making his own rules and how he lives in the world. And that was an attractive idea to me, so I sort of emulated that. And music was sort of that. I mean, I was pursuing that, and I was working in different aspects of the music industry, but a lot of it just had so much junk that was attached to it that wasn't music. Yeah. It was easy to get turned off by that, and many turns when you're dealing with that. So it was easy for me to let that one sort of fall to the side, but I did the same thing with magic. I mean, sure, I wanted to perform and do magic, but I found my way working in magic by working for magic companies, right? We mentioned before I worked for that magic company that made those instructional videos for years. They were one of the big players in that world. And then I worked for Murphy's Magic Supplies for a lot of years, and I learned all the inner workings of all of that type of business. And, at a certain point, I wasn't doing that. I thought I was going to probably just have an office job of some sort, but the reality is I found my way to magic, and I had enough people that I had met through magic by working in the industry that were sort of inspiring me and pushing me in the direction of doing what they were doing so that I could just live the life I wanted to live, that I sort of just found my way there, and, with a lot of love from, family and, friends and people just saying, that's what you're supposed to do, man. It's clear you're supposed to be doing magic. So keep doing that, so it was, I just knew in my heart that's what I was supposed to do. So that's what I've been chasing. And the reality is that every day it's like a dream. I mean, I get to chase down things I really love, and I'm practicing the things I love. I mean, it sucks right now because I can't really do magic for people, but little trade-offs, right?
I mean, that was a great answer. We see you do magic all the time, buddy. I mean, not just your sleight of hands, but your manner and the positivity in which you help people. It's really great.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
It's really helped me.
Cool.
So,
I'm glad.
Let me get to this last one. This is the cheesiest one. If the Sanctum Sanctorum exists, what would you like to hear Vernon say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Boy, I don't know. I've sort of let go of Vernon in that way.
I don't know. I pull these from what I hear.
Yeah, I understand. No, I don't know.
What does Henning say when you get there?
I don't know. I don't know that I want. I mean, the reality is when I was a young man, I wanted all that stuff. When I was really young, like I was really interested. Like maybe one day I'll be good enough that like X magician that I really love will say a kind thing to me about my magic. And then I realized that, it's sort of all the same stuff. You know what I mean? Like all these guys, I like to think that I'm sort of in the same club as them. We're all looking for the same thing. And that's really just to connect with people and give people the experience of wonder, give people that experience of this rarefied thing that only certain practitioners in the world are able to do. Yeah, I mean, sure. If one of these guys saw me do something, they'd probably say, hey, good job, kid, and I've had plenty of those happen, but wanting that and having that be sort of an important thing to me fell by the wayside a while ago. I mean, really, it became more about my audience members. It's more about going back to that question about like, what do you think about before you do a show, right? I mean, it's that. Like, I want everyone to be high-fiving after the thing's over, right? I want everyone to just go, yay, magic. I didn't know magic could be that cool and that much fun. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is a bigger payoff. And that's the weird thing about magic, because magic for me, as a kid looking at it, was this collective idea, but now it's like more of an immediate thing. It's immediacy, I mean, sure, it's doing all the work, but the real payoff is after you do the performance and we're there and we're sitting in that energy that's being created because that thing happened, and everybody just is a little bit different. That's it. That's the gift, right? That's the moment that it's really all about. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I'm really looking for anything. I think I'm pretty satisfied in the world of form that, in an ethereal place, I don't know. Pat on the back, I guess. I guess that's probably the best answer. Just good job, kid.
Or just like George Harrison, you just turn into pure light and fade away. Whatever.
Sure. That sounds fine to me too.
All right. Well, thanks for answering those questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now we're going to do our little contest that we do every week. Last week, if anyone wanted to know the answer to the question, well, I'm not going to repeat the question. The answer to the question was...
Oh, wait. Ask me the question. What's the question? I want to know now.
In the 1985 PBS special with Penn and Teller, they opened with a upside-down straitjacket escape.
They sure did. I remember this.
Teller was upside down.
Uh-huh.
And Penn read a poem, and he started to read it faster and faster because he said
sure
it would be
did.
fun. What was the name of the poem?
Should I say it?
You can say it.
Casey at the Bat.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, I'm a super fan, though, so it's unfair.
There was literally like the VHS. There was one VHS in our house, and it had that.
Penn and Teller Go Public. Yeah,
Penn and Teller Go Public. And I always remember the TV one where he was reading the news, and he leaned in with the three clubs and goes, "Is that your card?"
That's right. That's right. The cruel tricks for dear friends.
Right. Totally cool tricks for dear friends.
That's really
funny. All right. So I'm going to put the email in the chat now. I had to say this many times last week, and I said it, and someone still put the answer in the chat, Alex, and I deleted it right away. So I just put an email into the chat. It's ccamacontest@gmail.com. That's ccamacontest@gmail.com. Your answer must go there. if you put your answer in the chat, I'm going to delete it, and then I am going to not pick you.
And you gave the answer to someone else that
And
might
you give
win
the
now.
answer to someone that must win. So, you know.
What's the question, though? I won't answer it.
Well, I got to tell everyone what the prize is first.
Oh, good. That's probably better. Yeah.
But first, this is the prize. Listen, guys, you know, I'm like a Magic Warehouse for a very specific person here, okay? So I have things. I try to be original, okay? I'm bringing out the big guns now, okay? I got a paperback copy of The Paper Engine by Aaron Fisher.
That's a fine thing. If you don't have that book, you need that book.
This book is dedicated to my mother, okay? I'll prove it to you.
I'll prove it to you.
It says, to
my
Mom.
Mother. To Mom, right there. That's like the Bart Simpson tattoo, Mom and a heart, right?
If anyone didn't know, Aaron Fisher is my brother. We have the same mom. So that's to my mom.
To your mom. That's right.
But this one is also signed by Aaron Fisher, which some of you have, I'm sure, right? But that's okay.
You could have two. This could be yours.
This could be yours if you answer this question. Alex, could you please hold up your first edition copy of The Paper Engine?
I sure can.
I have this somewhere hermetically sealed. It's a beautiful book. It is lovely. It is blue with a purple, what do you call it, bevel or outline?
Yes, it's a sexy book.
I'm going to ask you a question about this purple book.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
And you want to send it to ccamacontest@gmail.com. What was the color of the second edition? It was not blue.
It was not blue. It's definitely not blue.
Purple.
And if you don't know, if you know, you know. But if you don't know, there's probably no way to figure that one out.
I'm going to go a little bit longer and give it.
Book dealer, maybe. I don't know.
I'm going to give. I'm not going to check the email for another hour or so, and then I cut up the paper. I throw names in hats, and I let my son pick it out of a hat. It's completely random.
It's random. There it is. All right.
It's random, and you'll get the answer.
Send in those cards and letters, kids. It's awesome.
Someone says, which picture is your book, Alex? I don't know what that means.
This is the first edition.
It's the first edition. That's the first edition.
When it first came out, this is what it looked like.
Yep. The second edition is the same texture.
It's the same buckram, but not the same color.
Not the same color. It's a completely different color. So send what the other color is, and you will win that signed copy of the third paperback edition with a signature that I had to beg to get for this contest.
And those are pretty rare nowadays, aren't they? Those aren't really around anymore.
What I mean, we I think we pretty much only sell the ebook edition now.
Right. So even just having it in print, it's just that's a rarefied thing these days.
Yeah.
All
so
right. Good prize.
I want to say thank you to the members. I want to say thank you to Alex for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Be safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. And, have a good weekend, everybody.
Be good humans.